Hello everyone, welcome back to Feldy, which we're going to go into here in a moment. I just wanted to pause a moment on the title screen up here. Save game 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it could hold 6. I even have a mod in there that was pretty handy. Back in these days, you wouldn't know what you had in another save game slot at all. You know, we happen to see here that these are noted that we actually have something on here, but if it wasn't for a mod that I have in there that tells you a slot is taken up, you know, we could inadvertently run a game right over the top of a save game. So sometimes mods, at least in that era, were very helpful in that regard. They had nothing to do with the game, but they had to do kind of with administration, if you will, and helping you to keep you from going over the top of something you spent a lot of time in. So the one we're in here is kind of this one here in the middle. This is my old one from a long time ago. Alright, we're back in game here, getting ready to harvest field number 31. In the last episode, we took a circuit around the field, and so we should be all ready to go to harvest ourselves some barley here. So I'm actually gonna get him going and turn him loose. Oh, no you're not. I just forgot again. Let me get to... that's close enough. Bring the app back in. Oh, and for some reason it remembers its previous AI course, but I don't know why it remembers it. We were doing it this direction when we were harvesting over here in field number 34, so I'm not sure how that works. What we'll do is we will hold the 9 key, we'll delete the AI course, and we'll see it disappear. Now, please go straight ahead. Oh. I'm not sure why it just stopped there. Let me see if I can get it back online here. Maybe because it thinks it's full, only it isn't quite full. There we go. It must have just had a blank spot. We'll see if it can take care of this. Come on, swing back over. There we go. Yeah, the unevenness of the ground can sometimes change how this is going to go. We'll give it a try. Actually, we need to take care of this. We're going to run him down. And I want to... This particular one, we'll talk a little bit about modding again. We'll try to focus on the vehicle camera. I think it's a little smoother. It seems a little smoother to me, except for when you're jerking, you know, forward and back, you know, with it. And if you're on uneven ground, but, you know, see, there we just climbed up onto the road, you know, and in the past, the camera would have felt every bump. And at some level, it still does. I think that there are some things in the game engine that maybe dictate how this is working. But I am pleased, you know, see, here we're driving off the road, and before, I think you would feel every single bump. But now, unless... What's going on here? Oh, good grief. Oh, for goodness sakes. I ran out of fuel again. Ah, blimey. Yet there is a mod in here somewhere that is really chewing through the fuel. So, alright, we're going to hop down over the hill. Oh, so irresponsible. This is actually making me want to take a look at my mods. I mean, I don't mind spending money for the fuel. I gotta say, this is catching me up short. This is the second time I've done this now on camera. It's kind of embarrassing. Actually, it should be on the left side of the road. At least I have a fuel bowser now where I can go take care of little problems like this. It's maybe one more opportunity to test out the vehicle camera. The intent was to smooth things out and to show a little topography, if you will, when you're on hills. Let me see if I can hop into the tractor. Load me up. Man, just the cost of fuel is going to eat me out of house and home. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to make up for it here. Boy, I may be in for a royal challenge here on the... Okay, I'm not sure what caught me there. The fence reached out and grabbed me. It's hard to tell that it really is... that it really is any smoother. But I definitely know that it is showing the contour of the ground. Here, I'll just go show you what I mean if you couldn't see it before. Is... oh, man, this is using up fuel fast. Anyway... speed along here, but back over the bridge. When I get out on here and go across the hill that's up here, the camera's going to tilt to the side, whereas before, like right now, we're looking straight down kind of on it. When you go across a hill, you're going to see a tilt in the camera. And it's kind of subtle right here. We're not on a hugely steep hill, but you can tell that the tractor is at an angle. I'm not sure interior camera if you can notice it. No, that still looks pretty straight. Oh boy, that's terrible. I maybe need to do some work on that. But you can tell that it's on an angle, and it's the new vehicle camera script that I put on there. So I've tried to smooth it up as best I can, and I realize that hasn't worked entirely, and I think some of it is due to how this mod is working. If it wasn't so... if the linkage in the mod, or whatever you call it, wasn't so loose, if that's the word to use, it probably would be smoother. Like, I do detect that it's smoother when we're in the combine, for example. Let me just offload him so he can continue harvesting. And I want to show a little bit at kind of outside of the game what had to be done. I don't know if it's of interest to anybody. I think it was in the last episode I mentioned. I mean, I don't know how you guys play the game, if you try to fix things as you go, or not just fix things. I mean, that almost implies that Farmer Yip made errors or whatever. I don't mean to say that. He made it the way he wanted it to. Maybe just update, enhancements, whatever you want to call it in the game. So... let me hop out and just share this here briefly. So what I added was something in the mods here. I called it FS11 Updated Vehicle Camera. It's got several files in here. It's mainly a script mod. Don't use all these files. I really only use one called Vehicle Camera. So set up the mod descriptions. You got to have these elements in here to make it work. This is an extra source file. This is what loads the script that makes it work. And I didn't really write anything in here. This is all giant stuff. In the coding for FarmSim 11, there's a Lua file called vehiclecamera.lua. And this is what runs the vehicle camera. The vehicle camera being, you know, whether you're inside the cab or you're outside the cab, this is what you see. And all of this code helps run that camera and dictates its behavior. So this is kind of what runs as is. And what I wanted to do was something different. I know in FarmSim 15, the coding changed, and there is something about the coding in here. You'll notice You see this bar over here. This one here has code in here, almost 290 lines. When you get to FarmSim 15, it has almost 573 lines. Quite a bit more coding in here, and when you study it in here, you see other factors, the set camera pose, and let's see, that's a reset. There was some smoothing, it's smoothed, and you know what? I haven't traced all this code out. I don't know how it works. All I know is that it does. So the thought that I had here in FarmSim 11 is, why don't I take FarmSim 15 code and jam it into FarmSim 11? So you'll notice up here, that's exactly what I did. I took this file, it's the same file over here, and then I said I need to make sure that FarmSim 11 is able to talk to it, and that the code in here refers to things that are already in FarmSim 11. And so a lot of this was copied over, but like when you take this here, both of them have a vehicle camera new, and I just called my code update in here. This one over here for FarmSim 11, vehicle camera new, that's very common when you have a specialization, which is what a vehicle camera is. You have a new. This is when you load, it's going to create a new one. And so this creates it, and then this loads attributes, load from XML. The XML is what's in the mod file for your tractor or combine, whatever it is that has a camera in it. It has details inside the XML pertaining to the camera that get loaded up here. So I needed to make sure, that this new over here, one of the things I did, and basically I have this over and over in here, I took vehicle camera new, because you see when the game starts, it's going to load FarmSim 11 version. And I couldn't figure out a way to easily replace it, so I figured let's just overwrite the code. And here's how you do that. Underneath each one of these, vehicle camera new equals utils overridden function. This is a utility that's in the Lua code, where you're basically telling the code, hey, swap this function with this one over here. So it isn't saying ignore it, just swap the two, and then you tell it what the new one is up here. So it's taking vehicle camera new, which is over here, and it's exchanging it for this over here. Well, one of the first things I did is I said, let's run the old code, because they already have it set up on vehicle camera. So we want to start off right, get in the right class. So this here is loading everything over here that FarmSim 11 would already do. That's what this is. And you have a super function, I guess it's called, to take the original function, super func coming in here, you run itself in the vehicle to get all the variables that it loads over here, and it stores them right here in this instance. So you see over here, it's building an instance, and then it returns. It sends it to whoever loaded it. And so we're grabbing it right here. We're holding it temporarily until we can run all this code here. And then we return it. So in here, I got rid of a number of things that have already been loaded over by FarmSim 11, and then I added a few new things that show up in the FarmSim 15 camera. And so I'm not going to go blow by blow through all of these. This is probably pretty boring to a lot of people, but to me, Lua coding is fascinating. Learning about it and just kind of what kind of makes it work, and I am no expert by any means. I just learned a few tricks kind of over time as to how some of this works. So every single function in here, you see a load from XML. We also have, get on the FarmSim 11 camera. We also have load XML over here. And so this one here, I'm not even going through the super function. I am just flat out replacing, and this is a long bruiser, I'm replacing the original with what we have above. We could have done what we did up here in new, but I just opted to just bypass it all, So what I had to do was compare all the code in here to the code over here, make sure we're still doing everything that ARMSIM 11 needs. And there's going to be some other items that pop up in here that we don't need, or that need to be run just a little bit differently. So I had to adjust some code in here to get smoothing parameters and whatnot. And there was changes in the game, and all of these, I mean, you come through the school of hard knocks, if you will. You set it up, and then you try it in game, you figure out it doesn't work, you come back in here, you try to look at the error codes in the log, rinse and repeat, you tweak the code and try to keep at it until you eventually get it working. So almost all of these functions in here are overwritten. You'll see it again and again and again, except for there's a handful of new code in here, which, here we go. Vehicle camera at smooth. This is just creating a brand new function that is based on this. That this will then use, and on those we don't use super function, because there's no override. We're just taking it straight in so it can be used by the code. I also had to add another, I think there was a vehicle. Yeah, this function wasn't available in ARMSIM 11. It seems to be working. I just pulled it straight out of ARMSIM 15, and I believe it's pulling similarly named items that already exist in ARMSIM 11. So as long as it's behaving itself, I'm not going to do anything further with it. But anyway, that's just a little bit, if you ever mess with Lua, I don't know if that's enough to understand kind of how the super function works. It's pretty handy to be able to modify or tweak functions in game. So they have utilities, you can do that, overridden function. There's a couple other handy ones. You have a utils.prepended function, which takes some code that would be in here and puts it before this function happens, and then it would just run the regular function like normal. Then there's another one called utils appended function, which of course puts the code after this function here. So, but this one here overrides between the two. Just some handy functions the game has to help manage and work with Lua. Anyway, I'm sure I'm boring people to tears with that. So we'll head back in game. I just wanted to say this is some of the work that was done to try to get ARMSIM 11 vehicle cameras behaving similar to how they do in ARMSIM 15. And I think it worked a little bit. Oh, look at that. He's already harvested several strips. You can tell we're more on a hill. Oh, blimey. Even as I say, yeah, the camera's improved. Oh, brother, you sure can't really tell. I don't know why it rams you right into the end of the tractor there. It must... I don't know. I better shut up. Saying that I've made improvements when you can't even hardly tell and it's still wonky as ever. I think it's just these Rava tractors where you really see that effect. Yeah. Something I should watch here is how much fuel I'm using when it's in idle. Maybe what I need to do when I hop out of game like that is totally get out of the tractor so that it turns off. Because I just can't believe how fast this is whittling down my fuel. So that tells me to check on a couple mods. You always hear the dirty term of mod conflict. I don't know that this is a conflict. It may be just an additive effect of a couple mods working together. Because I know I have some mods in here that impact fuel consumption, and what I gotta make sure is that they're not fighting each other and taking out more fuel than they really should be. I mean, look at that. I'm down to about half. Wow. It's like I need to leave it here just to fill up. At least I didn't whittle all my profits away. Trying to earn some. And I think I'm limited. You know, in a previous episode, I talked about this line of credit mod that I created to be able to borrow. But I think I am topped out at $100,000, and that isn't going to buy hardly anything. I mean, it'll buy some things, but then I'm paying through the nose on interest. So I just like to earn some money and get some more equipment. I may need to take a thoughtful pause here as I get through. I gotta think how many crops I have up there to harvest, because you know, I don't have sufficient equipment yet to harvest all the crops in here. You know, when we go up over the hill closer to the main farm area, if you will, there's going to be root crops. There's peas, which I think can be windrowed. I do have a windrower, but I have no means of picking it up. Did this guy get going again? Oh yeah, he got going again. So let me hop out so we don't use up any gas. I'm going to head back over to our tractor over here, right through the hedge. Ouch, that hurt. He's done a great job cultivating our field. And he also looks like he needs a little sauce. So we will continue down through here. I'll set that in the ground. Looks like he missed a strip. You know, the hired worker is something that the Giants have improved quite a lot as you get into the more modern versions of the game. I don't know. Maybe they would have left a strip like this. I know it can be beastly difficult to get them to properly turn around kind of at the edge of the field. And, oh, look at that. He left all these little bits. Hard to find good help these days. Okay, I barely lifted it at a time. I don't know if we want to keep the grass on the edge of the field, but it kind of looks decent, so. And some of this, I think, is because of the shape of the underlying terrain is shaped such that it's hard for the equipment to kind of negotiate the hill, so that could be part of the reason why it's leaving these little bits here too. So now that we have this field down, you know, I almost think I want to start over here on, now this was a field of canola, if I recall correctly, grape, whatever you want to call it. But it doesn't have a windrow or anything, so I think I'm going to go ahead and tear this field out before I come in and tackle the wheat field, oops, right next door. Because I do harbor some hope that maybe if I earn enough money, I will be able to afford a baler and earn just a little bit more to, well, I mean, some of the straw is perhaps going to be needed by the animals at some point. I tell you what, these are quite the interesting tractors to work the hills with. When anytime I've seen these tractors, and they're Rava, which I think they're Russian made, maybe somebody knows better than I do. For some reason, I think of them as being Russian. Maybe it's just because it was a Russian modder that put them together. But I can't think of Feldy without thinking of these tractors. So I'm not sure I want to just swap them out. But wow, are they a bit wonky to handle. the camera. Wow. And with keyboard steering, I don't even know, did they have a steering wheel available for Farm Sim 11? Maybe they did. But yeah, see, this side along here is, yeah, it's kind of a wonky edge also. Just so hilly in the map, including right along the edge of the road. Now that is just, that's terrible. Looking at the camera. Now this is killing all the grass, but I don't know what else to do. Yeah, even as I try to trumpet the work I did on the vehicle camera, you're not seeing a huge difference when you look at these Ravas, or kind of what's going on with them. Oh, we gotta go offload our camera. Our combine. I can't even talk anymore here, probably because it's after midnight here, after a long week at work. We're almost around the edge here of this field, and I think I'm gonna get him hired and going. Probably will run out of gas at some point in there. Alright, now let's see. If I look at the map, 32, where should it be started? I think I need to go back behind me and start it over here. See if the ad is sufficient to get the whole field done. I'll probably have to do another strip along here just to finish the job off. Yeah, it kind of goes back to, like I was commenting earlier, the Giants have improved by quite a lot, the hired help. But back in these days, it wasn't uncommon to have a fair amount of cleanup in the fields. Now, to try to learn my lesson, we're going to delete the AI course, even though it should be the same one, and we'll send them off to the races. There you go. Cycle through the old equipment again. We'll take him up here. There we go. You know what? He seems fuller, doesn't he? 191 gallons. This time here we can kind of leave him sitting up here. He won't be sitting in the crop, which is nice. I gotta say, the combine's doing a decent job, the hired help. It is so handy having that mod that shows a direction, and you can see it now. It's for drivable vehicles that provides a compass, so you can tell kind of what direction you're going. I'm gonna get out of there. He'll continue, but this way we're not using fuel. You know, I wish we could tell, and we just can't, on this old map, what is growing in all these other fields. Now, I know, and I can't show them an app cursor, we could look over field 27, you may recall, we planted to, what was it, corn? Field 28 is bare. Field 26, is that the one up there? I gotta put my glasses on it. Yeah, field 26, I think we planted partly to, we didn't plant the whole, oh yeah, we did. 26 was planted to canola. 24, I believe, is in, it's either in wheat or it's in barley, as is number 36. 25 is bare. 23 is in barley. So we know there's some cereal grains kind of up there that we can harvest for cash crop. Over on the other side, like field number 30, I believe, is in potatoes or peas. We can windrow it, but we have no means of harvesting it. Field 20 is perhaps in, field 20, the one north of it, I believe, is in some of the root crops, either potato, I think it's sugar beets. Field 19, I kind of think is bare. and 21 is in corn, and then of course we can't see the rest of the map up there. There's a lot of grass over there, but I don't think there's any cash crop that we can get out of the ad unless, we were to get a baler, some haying equipment. Maybe we could haul some bales in. Man, speaking of that, let's find out what other, and we kind of are stuck with Farmer Yip's mods to figure out kind of what we need in here. Here's something. Sugar beet and potato. That is only 25,000. There are a lot of root crops up there, and I seem to remember the last time that I played this, that there was a fair amount of money that I was able to get just from harvesting root crops. I almost think you realize pretty good return. This is to haul your bales. Yeah, see, the trouble is I need 95,000 to get a baler, and back in this version of the game, it was awful hard to haul bales. The physics weren't as good as they are in more recent versions. So having an auto stacker is practically a necessity. So that's almost 150 grand right there. So maybe what I need is this root crop harvester, so I can harvest some of those other fields and get some money. Because eventually I need to also get the forage picker up here to harvest the feed stuff. If you recall, the mission number 2 that we have going is to work with the sheep and to generate wool. And right now, given that they have no food up there, we're not able to generate wool and complete the mission. I think we need 5,000 units of wool. So I don't think we need this. The forage harvester, my goodness, that's 145,000. So, and the hedge trimmer, this one's going to be a luxury. The hedge doesn't hurt anything while it's growing. It kind of just looks a little unsightly. So I don't think we need it just yet, but we'll get it eventually. And we're not into livestock quite yet. Don't need this. Yeah, we're gonna need more things as we go. And here's the kelp fertilizer spreader, but we can't use this until we fulfill mission number 2. So I think what I'm seeing is after we harvest the barley, we're gonna go take care of the rest of the cereal grains wherever we find them on the map, and use them accordingly. And once, hopefully by the end, we can get enough money to purchase, well, matter of fact, we could right now purchase the where is it here? Here it is. Bolko, sugar bean, potato. Anywho, I've gone much over the limit. We're still in the middle of harvest. Thank you so much for coming along for the ride, and I will see you on the next one. Goodbye for now.